Hello. So, I have a new fear that's unlocked. Let me say that. Okay. I was trying to talk to a friend of mine about being unorthodox with the religious codex because we already see unorthodox. We speak unorthodox. Okay. And this new fear that I have unlocked, I'm gonna go unorthodox here. That's what I have this. Okay. But the new fear I have unlocked is the reason why I say we have to be unorthodox with the religious codex. Because you see in 2026, men still got it in mind everything that we're going through as women's fault because they ate from the apple, because that's how they translated the religious codex. Right? Even though men and women make nuclear weapons, you see back in those days, there was a lot of women that weren't involved in those kind of jobs because they weren't allowed. So who do we blame for all of this? Anyways, I'm gonna read something to you. But before I do, it terrifies me because I feel like this is if they needed a blueprint to create us, it's inside of the religious codex. It's kind of everywhere. You understand what I'm saying? Let me read this to you. And I have this because this is attached to a vision, also attached to this. Okay. Water, 35 liters. Carbon, 20 kilograms. Ammonia, 4 liters. Lime, 1.5 kilograms. Phosphorus, 800 grams. Salt, 250 grams. Saltpeter, 100 grams. Sulfur, 80 grams. Fluoride, 7.5 grams. Iron, 5 grams. Silicon, 3 grams. And traces amount of 15 other elements, minus one thing: how they create a soul. Right? And then I can't even remember where I got it from. I think a friend sent it to me about the word few. And I looked up Matthew 22:14, and it says, "For many are called, but few are chosen." Okay. And it makes me think of Legion, because that's what we're acting like right now. And I think of Legion. That's what we feel like. Anyways, I realized something. Get the voice. Feels like few are. I kept saying few are. And I'm like, few are? You know what I'm saying? So I started Googling a bunch of words. I came across few are. Free. This is I want to say a Turkish word. It means free from spots, specks, dirt, or imperfections. And it makes me think of the red heifer or the yellow calf in the Quran, chapter called cow or calf, same thing. Okay. And what else? I can't remember. There's a lot of it when you sacrifice animals, or Noah without imperfections, right? And there's another word for fura. For that is Fuare. Okay. And the other word is Faure, which means blacksmith. Okay. That's why I got this one. And it makes me think of this one verse where it says, I seen this one documentary talking about Malachi 3:3, where he said he will sit as a refiner and a purifier of silver. And it makes me think of, like, they say, like, the creator is like a blacksmith. Okay. This is Genesis now. And they say people who do blacksmith and they mine silver, they smith silver, okay? What they gotta do is they gotta put it in a refinery and put it under intense heat. Okay. And then you putting it in intense heat to be able to get out all the impurities. Okay. And in the documentary, the dude said, the lady was like, how do you know all the impurities are gone in the steel, in the iron? How do you know? And he goes, when you look at it and you see your image, that's when you pull it out. Genesis. You understand? Like, the creator said, he created us and saw his image. Knew it was good. Okay. And then it lists, for the love of Moses, I went to YouTube, started, medically decompressing, medicinally, right? Went to YouTube, tried to look at a song, first thing it gave me randomly. I listened to boy band groups, all groups, Evanescence, you name it, right? And I got to Backstreet Boys. And it made me think of Matthew 22:14, which is, for many are called, but few are chosen, which is why there's so many boy bands and they always go to one. Right? They did it on purpose. Right? So, the song was I Want It That Way. Like, the creator is basically the song of the creator. This is how he wanted it. Right? And you know how we do with the English language. It's backwards. Okay. So it's the way that it wants I, or EYE. That's why you go to image, you got I mage, or I'm age. You understand? Okay, let me keep going. And listen to this, okay? I don't know if I'm having like a psychosis here. You tell me if I'm tripping or not. He goes, you are my fire, the one desire, believe when I say. I was like, that's a seance right there. That's words like that right there. I say, that's a seance. He goes, I want it that way, right? And when it says, you are my fire, Malachi 3:3. We just had this discussion. Okay. And then it goes, but we are 2 worlds apart. Back to Matthew 22:14. God, sorry. And it makes me think of what the voice taught me about the sword, about how when it was first created, you have to think of that video game called Soul Calibur, where the sword had an eye and it was alive and it was basically a living entity. Why? Because it goes back to the beginning of the video where I named off all the elements of what we were created from. Okay. And the voice showed me this vision of like the first sword created, the person created that sword, the prophet created that sword because he needed a new instrument to be able to pray. Which is why he took the metals from the ground, which is where heaven was. And it was like these things sacrificed itself in order to be able to give the connection to heaven and earth. That's why it says in Revelation he's going to come back with a sword. Okay, a living weapon, if you will. I can keep going, but I only got 5 seconds.